Namaskritya Naranam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized. Text number 16 onwards. So Krishna is further speaking on this most important topic of body and soul. So nasato vidyate bhavo, abhavo vidyate satah, ubhyorapi drishtva antas tvanyos tattva darshibhi. So Krishna says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So previously, three shlokas, Krishna told Arjuna that there is no need for you to lament. One who is sober person, he does not lament. So that just refutes Arjuna's excuse or logic of I'll not find happiness. And now he's shifting gears on another topic or another logic of Arjuna, that I'll be committing sinful activity. Or no, for the compassion for the body that was wrongly placed. So Krishna is coming to the topic of the soul now. So Krishna says there is no endurance or there is no permanence of the changing body. That the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells is admitted by even modern medical science. And thus growth and old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing, and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and personalist. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. That is a version of all seers of truth. So we can say, how can we say this material body is non-existent? We can see this body, we can touch this body, we can feel this body, we have to feed this body, we have to take care of this body. This body gets diseased. So non-existent here means this body is always changing. The body that we see also is always changing. Medical science also says old cells keep on dying and the new cells are being produced. And every 7 years, the body completely changes. I mean, all the old cells are gone and the new cells come up. When we look at our old pictures, we don't say that I am in the, we say this was what I looked like when I was, say, 5 years old, or when I was 10 years old, 20 years old. But that body is completely gone. This is a completely new body. And I mean, the mold might be the same. Of course, the face has changed since then. Hair color have definitely changed. Some people lose their hair. But the limbs are same for everybody. Limbs, hands and legs are same for everybody. But it also changes. So what Krishna is trying to tell him, why do you worry so much about changing of the body? Soul is going to remain the same. Soul remains the same. But some people, like they say, if soul remains the same, how come the desires are different when we were young and now? Well, that depends upon the knowledge, upon experiences that we have throughout our body, throughout our life, and the kind of association we have had. When we were little, okay, our desires was what? I want to play, I want to eat, that's about it. And now our desires are different. I want to make money, I want to take care of my house, take care of my family, and this and that. But this is all coming from the soul. So soul hasn't changed. It's our experiences have changed over the years. But that soul is permanent. Body keeps on changing. And we worry so much about the body and not about the soul. So Prabhupada further says, this is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. So ignorance means we think we are this body. And we all refer to ourselves. I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim, I'm Indian, I'm American, and I'm North Indian, I'm South Indian, I'm Gujarati, I'm Punjabi, and this and that. But this all refers to the body, not to the soul. Soul has nothing to do with India or America or China. These boundaries we have created in the world. The removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So removal of ignorance. So once that ajnan is to be gone, what does it mean? Involves a re-establishment of the eternal relationship. Means relationship is there. It's always there between the soul and God. It's eternal. Eternal means no beginning, no end. No beginning. There was never a time when this relationship was not there. And there is no end, means there will never be a time. And why it's the purpose is a re-establishment? Because we have forgotten that relationship because of our ignorance. In our ignorance, we think I am this body, and my relationship is what? With the byproducts of this body, or those who are related to this body. If I am from India, my relationship is with the Indians. I'm from Delhi, so my relationship is only with the Delhiites. I'm from this family, so my relationship is that family only because I can relate with them on bodily terms. But our eternal, and this is a temporary relationship just for this lifetime. Next lifetime it can change. It will change. But our eternal relationship, that's what we have forgotten. That's what is ignorance. And this is what science of self-realization is, that we have to re-establish that relationship. And then further Prabhupada says, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of God. Consequent understanding. So we have to understand who we are and who's God. So then and then only the relationship can sustain. We are not God. If we forget we are who we are, means we are under Maya. So God never comes under Maya. You can see this beautiful picture of Ram. Tomorrow is Ram Navami, so I try to chose to use this background. So even if Ram is playing his pastimes as a little baby and he grows up to Kishore form, but he never grows beyond that. But these are his pastimes. God's body is made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. That is the constitution of the soul as well. We are made of, our body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. It grows, it gets old and dies. Spiritual body never dies. So our spirit soul, which is a part and parcel. So what does it mean? Prabhupada used this term, part and parcel, again and again. In Hindi, it's called ansha. But in English, Prabhupada used this part and parcel. So part and parcel means, so we are part of the Lord. Part means infinitesimal part. So the size of the soul that is given in Vedic scriptures is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. Tip of the hair, which is very, very minute. And 10,000 part of it. But God is infinite. If he appears in this human form, even if it looks like this baby Ram, huge as compared to the tip of the hair and 10,000 part of it. So we are part of it. And what does it mean parcel? Parcel means even the part has the same qualities as a whole. In minute quantity, just like a drop of water of the ocean has the same chemical qualities as a whole ocean. But physically, it's a drop. So we have the same qualities, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. But because we identify ourselves, recognize ourselves as this body, we go through all these miseries and we remain in the material world, which later on Krishna will explain. This is Dukkhalaya. This is a place of misery. And Ashashvata means it's temporary. So nothing in the material world is permanent. Even our bodies are not permanent. Only the soul. So this is the goal of human life, is to understand who we are and to understand what is our relationship between us and God and how to re-establish that relationship. Relationship is always an eternal relationship. We have forgotten that. And Prabhupada further says, one can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself, the difference between oneself and the Supreme Being understood as a relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. So that is Supreme. Means everything comes from him. Bhagavatam, the first verse, it says, Janmadhyasya yata. Everything comes from him. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living beings belong to the superior nature, as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Superior nature means the spirit soul, spiritual. And inferior means this material energy. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Energetic means the source of everything, source of the energy, which is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The energetic is accepted as a supreme, and energy or nature is accepted as a subordinate. So energy comes from energetic. Energy or nature or material nature, whatever we want to call it, it cannot just come on its own. There has to be some source, and that source is Supreme Lord. It doesn't just come from light. Light has to have some source. Even in the material world, if we look at light, so this bulb is giving light, but the light is coming because of electricity passing through this bulb. So electricity is coming from the powerhouse. Powerhouse is not the source of electricity. Powerhouse is getting electricity either through from nuclear reactor or from dam or some wind turbine or whatever way we are producing electricity and sending it to the powerhouse. Now the wind turbine is not going to move on its own, most because of wind, or the sources could be water, or the source could be nuclear material. Now the wind does not blow on its own. Somebody has to guide the wind. Some laws have to be there. For water, we have to create a dam, but water does not come in the rivers on its own. It comes because of sun vaporizes the water from the ocean, and then the rain, or rain on the mountains becomes snow, and that becomes water, and then comes in the river. So sun, and because of sun also the wind movement takes place, that we know. So where the sun comes from? Sun does not just appear on its own. It is part of the universe, one of the planets in the universe. Where did the universe come from? So if we logically try to understand, everything comes from the Supreme Lord. Everything. Of course, those who are followers of impersonalist philosophy, Nirakar, Nirvikar, they say, oh, in the beginning there was only sound. Well, if in the beginning there was only sound, how can there be so many varieties coming just from sound? How can we all be sitting here and so many varieties? Computers are there, trees, birds, plants, animals, fishes, water, earth, so many crops, varieties of human beings, so many planets. Earth planet, if just look at Earth planet, it's rotating on its same axis, at the same speed, tilted at the same angle for billions and billions of years. And if we think it only came from sound, nobody made it, nobody is moving it. Well, my car doesn't go from my house to my office on its own. I have to sit in it, start it, drive it, then it goes. So some driver has to be there. Some laws are there to be that I can drive it on the road. So laws are there. So but the earth, they say earth is moving on its own. No, it's not following any law. So why is the same speed tilted at the same angle going around the sun in the same orbit? Why doesn't it change the orbit? No law? No, of course there is law. So law means, anything that is happening, so there has to be some person behind it and some person controlling it, some person who has created it. That person is the Supreme Lord. It doesn't just come on its own from nothing or from light or from energy. No. And that's why Prabhupada is saying, although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic, because energy comes from the energetic, of the source of the energy. The energetic is accepted as a supreme person, and energy or nature is accepted as a subordinate, and that is material nature. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord. So we are in the same class as a spiritual soul, but we are subordinate. We are also energy of the Lord, but we're not same as the Lord. As in the case of master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. So because of ignorance, which is 99.9% of population, human population. Well, others are always in ignorance. Animals, birds, plants, fishes, they're always in ignorance. Means they don't understand. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. But even among human beings, how many even think of this way? I'm not this body. So we all are under ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. So this is the purpose of human life, to understand this ignorance and to drive it away, to enlighten ourselves. Tamso ma jyotirgamaya. We used to chant this when we were little. So tamaso means darkness. And darkness is because of ignorance, not like I turn on the light in my room and I'm gone into Jyoti. No. So from darkness or ignorance to enlightenment. That is the goal of human life. Not to keep on increasing this covering of ignorance. And unfortunately, our education system, so-called education system, which should be only called not education, but just information system. It doesn't teach us. Education means which transforms our thought process, our consciousness from ignorance to enlightenment. But our education, so-called education or information system, is basically increasing our ignorance. What it teaches, okay, I go to college and I study computer science, doesn't talk about soul and the body, and I graduate and I get a nice job with maybe Amazon or Microsoft, and I make $100, $200, $300, $100,000 a year, whatever I make. What is it doing ultimately? I'm just using that money to live comfortably with my family, with my friends, and enjoying so-called enjoyment. But it's not taking me out of ignorance that I'm this body. Basically, it's increasing because I'm trying to enjoy this body, make this body more and more comfortable, give more and more satisfaction to the mind. But does it? No, it never does. It is because it increases my ignorance, it's taken me away, more and more away from God, from Krishna. So I'll be more and more miserable. No matter how much money I'm making or how many possessions I have. Not against the money part or not against the career success, but the real, if we miss the real thing, then it's not worth it. So nobody says don't make money, no, but spend time in spiritual understanding also. So this, and Krishna says, why did he say this? This they have concluded, or the seers of truth. So Krishna doesn't say it's only me saying, every single Acharya has said this, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, this body is never going to last, it is temporary, spirit soul is permanent. And seers of truth don't come up with their own truth. They seek it through Vedic scriptures. So everywhere it is mentioned this, but we just don't study all this. Further he says, text 70, Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya na kashit kartum arahati. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So there is one thing that we have to understand. Of course, Krishna is saying that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. So that is imperishable soul. But the soul, we were saying that it is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. But our body is big, bigger than that. So soul does not expand or pervades the entire body. It's a symptom of the soul, which is consciousness. Consciousness is all over the body. Soul, which is so tiny, so small, it lives in the heart region. So because the consciousness is there in the whole body, any place, even if a tip of the toe, if we pinch it, we come to know right away, because body is conscious, because the soul is there, consciousness is there. Once the soul leaves the body, means the consciousness is gone with the soul. We cremate the body. Muslims and Christians, they bury the body. Nothing happens. We cremate, put it in the fire. Body doesn't just get up and start running. Oh, it's too hard, because soul is not there. Consciousness is not there. So it's not conscious. It's just a lump of material elements. But because of consciousness, we know. And this is what Krishna said, that which pervades the entire body, means this consciousness pervades, soul is in the region of the heart. So Prabhupada says, this verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to the other. So I don't know what kind of pains you all must be going through or having. I don't know. Only thing I know is about this body, my body. But it's a super soul, or Krishna. Super soul is expansion of Krishna. So super soul knows the pains and pleasures of every body. Every body means every human body, bird body, animal body, plant body, fish body, everybody. 84 lakh, 8,400,000 species of lives. And in that species, so many innumerable forms are there. Krishna knows everybody. That is, so that's the difference between us and Krishna. And in fact, our body, we don't even know. We might be aware of if something is hurting me, or one of my organs or more of my organs are not working properly. Might be aware of that, but I won't even know what's the cause of that problem. So this is our consciousness. We think we know everything. We don't even know our own body actually properly. But Krishna knows everything. That's why he's omniscient. He knows everything. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul. And the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. Individual consciousness. We don't have universal consciousness, only individual. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size, tip of the hair point. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad confirms this. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is a measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. So only Vedic scriptures can tell us to such minute detail, the size of the soul. We had never heard of even size of the soul. We all like this impersonalist, Nirakarvadi, they say, oh, it's all energy. Soul is what? It's an energy. Yes, it is energy, but it has a size. Size means it has to have some form. Without form, how can we say there is size? Just like light, how can we say there is a size of the light? No. But soul has size, means soul has to have form. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms, another place it is said, which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. So if the soul is so small, and the same soul size does not change, same soul is there even in the body of an elephant or a whale, blue whale, or even in this coronavirus. Soul size does not change. So mind-boggling this is. Okay, further Prabhupada says, therefore the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom, smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. How many coronavirus or bacteria I can put on the tip of my finger? Billions and maybe trillions of them, just on one tip of my finger. So how many spirit souls might be around me right now? Innumerable. And it just, I'm sitting in one room at one place. So what to talk about? The whole universe. And this is just one universe. There are innumerable material universes. So we can't even count the number of souls. Can't. It's impossible. And this is all his creation. Can you see the mind-boggling numbers here? It's amazing, his creation. And this very small spiritual spark is a basic principle of the material body. And the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. So if we take a medicine, we just pop in the pill. If we have fever, we just take some medicine, paracetamol, but the effect of that medicine is spread all over the body, and then the fever, hopefully, it's gone. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is a proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. So this is what, when dead body, when we talk about dead body, we cannot revive that dead body by putting more and more chemicals in there once the soul leaves the body. All the doctors would know this, or everybody knows this. I mean, we all have seen dead bodies. One or the other relative in our family must have died. So no matter how big a scientist one must be, but body is not a combination of chemicals. Or life is not a combination of chemicals. Body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. But without this soul being present in the body cannot work, cannot function. And once the soul is gone, no matter how many chemicals we inject in the body, we cannot revive that consciousness. But the scientists, they keep on saying, oh, we'll do this for the body, we'll become immortal. Everybody wants to become Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal. Ravan wanted to become immortal. What happened to them? They had so much of power, yogic power, this power, that power. Even Brahmaji, the first created being in this universe, he is not immortal. How can we become immortal? Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In Mundak Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived with perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air, Prana, Pan, Vayan, Saman, and Udan. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So soul is there, and actually here it says the soul gets purified, but soul is always pure. It's a consciousness, which is a symptom of the soul, that becomes impure, or that becomes covered over by material modes of nature. All we have to do is remove that covering, and slowly we'll be re-established in the real self or spiritual self. So there are different kinds of yoga systems. As Prabhupada explained, the Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but ultimately the Hatha Yoga system is for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So idea of any yoga system is to yoga. Yoga means to connect ourselves with the Lord. So Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, they're all different kinds of methods, procedures for connection. But as we'll study later, keeps on studying in Bhagavad Gita, which is the best process. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures and is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as the all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. So insane men or the Mayavadis, those who say, I am that, so aham, they say that we are God. We all are God. But the scriptures don't say that way. We are infinitesimal, 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. And we always remain that way. Krishna has already explained, and later on he'll also explain. Soul cannot be cut into pieces, you cannot change it. It always remains the same. So we're not going to become God. If we think we're going to become God, then the God forgets he is God. God comes under Maya. God never comes under Maya. That's his position. Maya comes from him. Material energy comes from him. He is a source of material energy. It doesn't come under the control of material energy. We came under the control. We as spirit souls. There's a huge difference between us and God. We're never going to become God. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to Mundak Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. First of all, this soul is so small, and then secondly, it is spiritual. Even if it take the smallest equipment that can measure things, nano telescope or whatever it is called, soul is so small and spiritual, we cannot see it through our material eyes or material equipments. That's when the scientists said there is no soul. The soul is there according to scriptures. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul. And thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. This part of the body means the heart. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul, which is sitting in the heart. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. So when the soul is not there, the blood cannot circulate, the oxygen cannot go to all the parts of the body, and everything just finishes. Of course, I'm not a medical student, so I don't know much. Doctors can tell more about it. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. So the blood is not going to move on its own. Some pump is there, but somebody has to operate that pump. Just like in India, we all have this pump to put water in our overhead tank. The pump does not work on its own. Somebody has to plug in the wire, somebody has to turn on the switch. And then the pump goes on. And then when the water is full, the sound comes from the machine that tanki bhar gayi hai, motor band kariye. Somebody has to operate that pump. So heart organ is the pump. Who is operating that? Soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. So because the soul is there. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. So another example Prabhupada is giving, sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body. And the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. So such atomic particles of the spirit whole. So sometimes when we see in our window, if the sun rays are coming, we see so many little, small atomic particles as part of those sun rays. So they can be compared. They're not the spirit souls, but they can be compared just for our understanding. What is spirit soul? But when this spirit soul, those who depict, there are living entities which are called ghosts or bhoot, pret. So we all are spirit souls. In the one that we are looking at, the body we are in, it has two components. One is material body and another is subtle body. Both are material. One is gross material, one is subtle material. So gross material body is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Subtle material body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And this all combination over the soul, that constitutes a body. So ghosts and those entities, they just don't have the gross body. They have the subtle body. So when it comes to the topic of soul, everybody starts thinking, oh, that we are talking about the bhoot. And bhoot means the subtle body with on the spirit soul. Spirit soul has to have some body, but they just don't have a gross body. We have both gross and subtle bodies. That's all. That's the only difference. But the soul is pure. Soul is bhoot, pret. They disturb others because they want the gross body to function, to enjoy. They just don't have that gross body. The soul does not disturb anyhow. How can soul disturb anybody? Soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Always pure. It's just a consciousness gets impure because of our falling in the material world, getting into wrong company, bad association, and then we keep on falling in different species of life. So now as a human form, when we came into the human form of life, so it is a time that we start understanding who am I. That is called Vedanta Sutra. Athatu Brahma Jigyasa. At means now it's a time for Brahma Jigyasa, means spiritual knowledge or spiritual curiosity. Ask questions and make progress on spirituality path. Otherwise, we remain in the same consciousness or lower, whatever work we do throughout this life, we develop that kind of consciousness. Suppose we have the desires of too much of meat eating and we develop the consciousness of a tiger. So we get a tiger body next life. It doesn't matter how much money we made, how many degrees we have, what kind of education we have had. It doesn't matter. What kind of consciousness we developed throughout this life will decide what kind of body we are going to get next life. Soul remains the same. But the question is, why waste this life? Why not make progress spiritually? And this is the reason Krishna himself comes. He sends his representatives, he sends acharyas, he gives us scriptures to understand the value of this human life and to engage in the proper way. So I guess I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Namaste Prabhuji is in here.
Yes, Mata.
I have one question. As you mentioned, soul is with every living entity, inside every living entity, and the size of the soul is same in elephant and an ant. So what is the difference between the soul within like a human body and animal body or tree body, ant and other entities?
The difference is of consciousness. Right now, my soul in this body, I think I'm human. But this human body and other bodies, human body one gets after many, many lifetimes. It's very rare to get human body to come to this level of consciousness. See, Darwin, when he said we evolved from monkeys, so he did not talk about the soul, but this evolution process goes on according to the law of nature. So from fish body to, or from the tree's body, fish body, insect body, birds, then animals, that evolution keeps on going. And then from animals, from monkey, from tiger, and from cow, tiger or lion, and cow, the next body is human body. And of course, those who are human, they can also get the next body as human, keep on going with the human body. So they keep on evolving, but in human form, since our consciousness is better than the animals or other lower species, now there's a choice given. Either we go up means spiritually up, or we can go up to the heavenly planets also, or we remain in this human form on earth, or we can go down into the lower species of life. So next life, we can become any animal or bird or fish, depending upon the consciousness we develop in this body. So in human form, we have an option because it's the soul has a higher consciousness. Soul remains the same. It is a consciousness level changes.
So consciousness is
okay?
the soul, or it doesn't with the mind and body?
Soul is different from the mind and the body, yes.
Right. I'm asking about consciousness, soul, or it is part of, or it's part of the body, or itself is a dependent entity.
It's not a different entity. It's like symptom of the soul. Like how to explain what is consciousness? Consciousness is not mind, because mind, intelligence, even intelligence, and the ego, false ego, that's all part of material subtle body. Consciousness is not part of that material subtle body feature. Consciousness is part of the soul, symptom of the soul. The what I'm conscious, or what do I think I am? Now, thinking again comes in the mind process, but the consciousness is like, I am this body, I'm man. But that can be ego. See, consciousness is body consciousness, and because of body consciousness, I think I'm man, and the dog and the soul in the dog's body thinks he is soul or he is dog. The soul is separate from the body. Soul is not dog.
So soul has different entities. Like soul has also, like a body has eyes, nose, like all kind of parts, right? And mind. So like that, soul has different parts.
Very good question. Actually, this comes much later, but anyway, since we asked, in a dead body, let's examine that, analyze the dead body. Dead body has eyes, ears, tongue, nose, everything is there. But does the eye of a dead body, do they see anything?
No.
Do they smell anything? Do they taste anything? No. So it's not this body that is seeing, it's somebody is seeing through the eyes. So eyes are only the instruments or organs to see through. So somebody is seeing through this eyes. Who's that somebody? That is soul. And soul sees through his spiritual eyes. Yes.
We can also say that consciousness is the sensitivity of the soul. How sensitive are you to your soul? That intellect is consciousness.
Well, then again, intelligence or intellect, that is material. And when we say how sensitive I am to my soul, but I am the soul. Right now, I'm thinking I'm this body, but actually, I'm not. I'm the soul who is covered by this material body.
So soul had some part, or soul is using the body parts.
Soul has to have this body to do some activity. Because in the material world, we are so infinitesimal and so small. The soul is so small; it cannot just act on its without the body.
So, Prabhuji, so gross body, gross body is our hands, leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it burns, it goes to the, we I mean, it's carried forward like we go to the subtle body. No?
Yeah. Go to the subtle body. What do you mean?
I mean, subtle body is our mind, ego, and knowledge, intelligence.
Yeah. But you said we go to the subtle body.
I mean, sorry, no. When we leave the gross body, then the soul goes to the
Next
Yeah.
body.
next body. Okay.
But you were right in when you were saying go, but you use the wrong one. The subtle body goes with the soul to the next body.
Okay. Perfect.
So now if we understand the consciousness part, let us, since it was brought up. So suppose in this body, well, in a human form, because other bodies, lower bodies, they have no control. Everything is controlled by nature for them. But as human form, we have some control. So in this body, suppose I work throughout my life and I develop the consciousness of a tiger, let's say, of meat eating and whatever qualities tigers have. So I develop that kind of consciousness. So even in this body, while I am a human form, but I am developing the consciousness of a tiger. So what happens is my mind, my thought process, my intellect, everything is starting to develop like a tiger. So at the time of death, of course, I mean, we have to go to Yamloka and Yamraji decides what kind of body I'm going to get. But it has already been decided that I will get the tiger body because this is what consciousness I had developed. And then the subtle body first takes the shape of a tiger. And the gross body is just a mold on that shape. And then the soul, he thinks I'm this tiger, I'm a tiger. He acts like a tiger throughout his life. And then when he gets killed, whatever next body is going to get, he develops a consciousness. Then the subtle body first takes the shape of that gross body, and then the gross body is just covering the. It's not like, it's all intertwined, everything. Gross body, as we say, is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, the 5 elements. But if I look at my finger, can I say how much is earth and how much is fire and how much is water? It's all intertwined, all mixed together because they are elements. And this is what Krishna has made it so complicated, but so beautifully intricate. Nobody can get out of it. That is what Maya is. Is that clear?
Yeah, thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, Prabhuji. I have another question. You mentioned Brahmaji is also not immortal. Isn't he alive now?
When the universe is created, he's the first person created in the universe, comes from the on the lotus flower that comes from the navel of Lord Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he lives as long as the universe lasts. According to him, it's 100 years, but according to earthly calculation, it's 311 trillion 40 billion years for this universe. So there he is also living, and he is spirit soul, but obviously very, very evolved, very spiritual spirit soul.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mata. So let's stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Ah.
Hare Krishna.